Number nine, one of my favorite movies was Iron Man 2. It was, to me, well received. I didn't really dislike any of these movies, much less any of the Iron Man movies. I love Robert Downey Jr. I think he's a phenomenal actor. Always have, always will. That being said, Iron Man 2 was not without its flaws. And you know what was weird, what shined in this movie for me? It really wasn't just Robert Downey Jr. I mean, they had the whole change in Rhodey out. They took my homie from who's now on Empire and put John Cheadle. Not that I have a problem with him, but it was just like, okay. That was a big contrast. Like they got someone that did not look at all like the original Rhodey, but I'm not getting into that. We already been there, done that. People have talked about it as to why it happened, and all that other crap. My thing was, as far as Iron Man 2, um, I didn't, like I said, I don't have a problem with the movie. I did like it. But in contrast to the other two Iron Man, the other Iron Man movie and the other MCU movies, it starts at a strong, solid 9, which isn't bad. Here comes my cameraman Loki. Loki, what's going on? I'm talking about a character. Well, I will be talking about a character you're named after. Anyway, number 8, Spider-Man: Homecoming. I didn't dislike this movie. I liked it. But as you may know or not know, I am a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man fan. And I don't give a shit how y'all feel about Spider-Man 3 and all the people in the movie and how they got the dude from that 70s show to play Venom. And I don't know. Like, I had, it's had its moments, but it still had that heart that Tobey Maguire just always brought to the Spider-Man films. And I like Tobey. I liked him. I mean, he has not aged like ever. He's older than me and don't look it. But honestly, I loved him. But it's, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the MCU now. And Homecoming was cool. I loved Homecoming. The only problem that I had with it was the bully, Flash. Dude, you're not an athlete. You can't be bullying somebody that's on the same debate team as you. In fact, you on the debate team, you shouldn't be bullying anybody. Now, I know we're all PC and we're anti-bullying, but that being said, bullies were different when I was in school. Bullies were different definitely when they started making these Spider-Man comic books, which this, I think that was like what made the Spider-Man comics such a strong comic. Like, here's this kid, he's getting bullied, he's a nerd, blah 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 blah, and now he gets powers. Like, what nerd would not like that? I know I wouldn't. That's just me personally. But anyway, that was my only gripe with the film. I loved it. I love Michael Keaton. I, parts of me always just wanted him to say, "I'm Batman," but I know he couldn't do that, obviously. But still, I like Michael Keaton. I've always have, even when he was doing comedies before he started doing serious stuff. Number 7, Ant-Man. I love Paul Rudd. I don't think I haven't seen much that he's been in that I dislike. And maybe because I just like looking at his face. But the point is, I love this movie and I had no complaints about it. They did change a lot, like Hank Pym being this old ass dude, but and bringing him in. But whatever the case might have been, or how they did it, or why, I didn't really have a problem with the movie. It was good and full of heart, and I liked his friends and um, his homies, compadres, whatever you want to call them. Like, his little crew was just hilarious to me, and it did set the premise for Ant Man 2, which is going to have the Wasp. Woo! Number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Nothing that I like, dislike. Sorry, look. I guess Loki didn't like it there. But anyway, then you're going to go over there, little punk ass. Anyway, what I do like about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, the soundtrack was dope, the acting was dope, the villains were dope. It pretty much gave us, shined a light on who Thanos really is for those of us who don't know. And it had heart. And I'm not gonna lie, when this movie, I heard about it coming out, I wasn't crazy about seeing it. Like, I was going to eventually see it, but it was like one of those things I could wait for it to get the cable or Blu-ray or DVD. I was not pressed to go rush and spend my money in the movie theater to see this movie. It just, I wasn't. But I listened to my daughter, and my daughter was like, "Mom, I gotta go see it. It's gonna be great. Come on, I gotta go." So I was like, okay. So we went to go see it, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. I had very little problems with the movie. It had heart, and it had Groot. Like, I love Groot. I love Rocket. I loved all the characters in this movie, even the ones not acted out on screen. It was just really a great movie, and it surprised me. Like, it blew me out the water. I did not expect what I was getting, and I had the feels at the end, when it was funny as shit. Like, it was just one of those movies that I've watched multiple times, or I've watched certain scenes, like especially at the end when Peter Quill is dancing, bring it down hard. Like, it just was hilarious and fun and innocent. Next up for me, and I'm looking at my little trusty list here, would be number 5, and that's Black Panther. One of the most well received movies, made history, I'm sure. And not just that, even though Black Panther wasn't the first movie to have a black actor in the lead role of the comic books. I think that Black History moment goes to Spawn, and then of course later on you had Blade, but it was a great movie. I did have my nitpick moments like I have with all of these movies, and that was the fact that Black Panther got his ass whipped a little too much for my personal liking, and they killed what's his face with the arm. But whatever, they did it. What they did it. I didn't have any problems with this movie. I love Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger because he's beautiful. And I've been trying to find him around Philly. I saw him when he did the first Creed movie. I'm not like a stalker or anything, but it would just be nice to bump into him again and just look. But yeah, anyway, Black Panther was a great movie. And if you are one of the few people who live under a rock and you have not seen it, please check it out. The movie's probably still making money. And it was just a good film. I mean, it was a great cast, a great soundtrack, great plot, great acting, great everything. The Wakanda was beautiful looking, and it portrayed us in another light instead of like these stereotypical black folks in Africa. Great film. Love it. That being said, I have some thoughts. Black Panther ain't have to get his ass whooped like that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if he didn't have that fancy dancy suit, unlike what he has in the comics, I'm like, no, Black Panther's a little kick ass. Like, the only ones he really gave work to in the movies were those little mercenary kidnapper dudes in the jungle. Now, if I don't know if any of you remember the BT animated series that went on to Netflix, but that shit was hot. And it's crazy because the guy that's in Guardians of the Galaxy, one black dude that was on Amistad and was Give Me Free, he actually played his voice. I can't remember his name. I do remember his name, and I know I'm going to butcher it, and I don't want to look like an idiot. So, yeah, he plays him on the animated series, and you had Storm. That was another thing I was missing. And I know this whole MCU and Sony, Fox, whoever, and the fact that Disney hasn't fully acquired it, Fox, and they're doing this business merger thing. But that's hi Loki. There's Loki's ass on the way. But anyway, that's Storm and him are married, and I understand why they can't possibly have her in the movie. And not that I didn't like Lupita as his, I think that's her name, as his love interest, but I think she's a bad guy in the comics, if I'm not mistaken. Number 4, and that is Captain America Civil War. If you have not seen all of the MCU movies, this is one of the ones that's important to see. We already know Wakanda and possibly New York are going to be, some stages for the Thanos versus the world thing for Infinity War, but Civil War is where you see the Avengers who have united and have had their own starring movies and blah 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 blah. They just pretty much disbanded. And if you ever liked a band or a group for a long time and then found out one of them went on a solo act and then they just broke up and you got heartbroken, that's kind of how it was for Civil War. It was an emotional wreck of a movie. But nonetheless, it was still great. To see Captain America and Iron Man go head to head, and that just tension was just insane. But it was a great movie. I love Civil War. I've seen it a dozen times. And that being said, what I said about Black Panther, for him to be able to fight Captain America and Winter Soldier with the ease that he did, yet get his ass handed to him. And I understand he drunk the stuff and lost the powers, but first of all, you supposed to be a trained dude before you even got these powers, so you should be able to handle yourself without all the fancy tech and extra powers. But whatever, I just, to me, it felt like he relied on it too much in the Black Panther movie, and in this one, supposedly I don't even think he drunk it, because technically his pop died, he put on the ring, he became Black Panther, and he was kicking ass. Now I don't know if that's behind the scenes, I don't care, but the point is, like Civil War, even though you saw the band breaking up, so to speak, you introduced the new Spider-Man and then introduced Black Panther, and it set the stage for those two movies to later come out. And it was just an all around, like, that fight scene at the airport was the shit. It was dope. After that, number 3 is Thor Ragnarok. As much as I love Thor and Chris Hemsworth, obviously because I know his name, one thing I like about the Thor movies is that, you know, they pretty much stayed close to their source material from both comics and the Norse mythology. But Thor Ragnarok pretty much does whatever the fuck it wants to do. And I had no problems with that whatsoever. Like, I love Thor Ragnarok, and I especially love Korg. And I see that in the MCU movies a lot of times, like, their little side characters or, you know, co-stars are just funny, or they're a really great addition, because Korg with his revolution he was this shit. Like, I love Korg. He brought some heart to the film. And Thor Ragnarok, even though it poked fun in a satirical way at its source material and its predecessor Thor movies and stuff, great film, great fucking film all the way. So definitely, if you're going to go see Infinity Wars, check this out, and definitely go check out Civil War. You'll get it together. Now, my number 2 countdown, Iron Man, the first one. First of all, this was the movie that started what the MCU is today. Like, I don't care what you say. I don't care if you don't like it. I love Don Cheadle. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Maybe because I watched Empire so many times since I watched this movie, but whatever. I'm not even going to say no more about that. But the point is, Iron Man was great. To see Robert Downey Jr. start off, they're playing the AC/DC song there on the Humvee, they're driving, and then bam, and then he has to become Iron Man, and it's just like, it's just a great movie. You see him, Tony Stark, this rich playboy billionaire, and like, it was just a great directed, just an awesome movie all around. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I like movies that the directors are in as they're directing. I don't know. But regardless, Iron Man is great. Great action, heart. To just see Robert Downey Jr. on the screen, especially at that time after dealing with all the shit that he dealt with in his past, it was amazing. And he's such a great actor and always has been. I mean, you don't believe me? Check out Charlie Chaplin. Great movie. Anyway, Iron Man 1 started it all. Successful film in my book. I've watched this movie so many fucking times, it's not even funny. Like, I think they put it on Hulu and I just watched it. Not like I didn't have the disc like a few feet away, but it's just a great movie. And it's epic. Like, when he goes out in the middle of nowhere, Middle East, something place, and he just takes out those little terrorists or whatever. It was dope. I loved it. Him fighting the bad guy, and just the suit, him painting the suit, him being a playboy, him being a little asshole a little bit. Like, it just was like that role was just made for Robert Downey Jr. and he owns it. Like, it's almost like Wolverine. It's like, I can't picture anyone else but Hugh Jackman being Wolverine. Just like, I don't know if I could ever see anyone else being the Iron Man besides.
There was an idea. Stark knows this. Called the Avengers Initiative.
Sorry, I'm back. And number 1, numero uno, the best movie in the MCU thus far, despite my little gripes and problems, obviously, because I haven't said it in the last 17 films I talked about, The Avengers. 1, directed by Joss Whedon, Mr. Buffy Summers himself. I love this fucking movie. I've watched this movie probably a million times. I love when the Avengers assemble in New York and they about to fight the shit out of the aliens. It's just amazing. It's epic. It gives me the chills and the feels, and I really wanted to see that in Age of Ultron. Also, if I had to go back and say this when I was talking about Civil War was the Avengers 2 that we should have had. I just want to put that out there. Back to Avengers 1. Avengers 1, what I like about this movie, everything. Loki, first of all, was a scary ass fucking villain, and they killed Coulson, even though they had to find a way to put him on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I love. But the point was, Avengers, it took all the shit from all these different movies directed by all these different people and had different types of acting styles portrayed differently on screen, and they put it together, and they made this epicness of awesome that we know as the Avengers, and I fucking loved it. I still can't get enough of it, and I've watched that movie this week at least maybe once or twice, even if it was just tidbits to get ready for tomorrow, today, whatever. I'm just like thinking about Infinity War, and then thinking about the Avengers and how I felt when I saw it. What, 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago, 7, I don't know, 2012 I think it came out. But the point was, it's nothing that you can dislike about this movie. And I was thinking about my little things that I might want to nitpick. There's nothing that I want to nitpick about this movie. I love it. And for those of you who probably might say something in the comics or whatever, bite me. I don't give a shit. It's my video. I love Avengers. That's why it's my number 1. Thor was close. And I don't get me wrong, when I did these 9 videos, I was just like, damn, how the hell am I going to do this shit? You know, because some of the movies, it was like, I liked them equally, literally equally, but I put this list together, and as you can see, when I did this, I changed it. My original list, like, it was just, I kept changing shit, and it was just a mess, and like my little arrows there, and it was like, yeah. But anyway, the point was, go check out Avengers 1 if you haven't seen it already. And I will be back with hopefully a spoiler-free, if not, if my emotions are intact, my take on Avengers Infinity War. And when I say spoiler-free, I won't post spoilers. And if I do, I will say spoiler alert. Unlike some of you jackasses online, like, come on now. Every social media platform I've been on, some dickhead has posted something about this damn movie. And it's so far, it's only been Wednesday. Like, why? Yeah. So anyway, until later, friends and folks, family, you and everyone, be sure to go to my drunkeninsomniacwriter.wordpress.com website for some cool tidbits, life lessons, and whatnot. Also, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share, whatever. Let me know what you think, if my picks or your picks. And until later, I'm taking my tired ass to bed because I just earned the moniker Insomniac, and I'm trying to, like, really... Like, I've shed drunken off my tag, but now I want to just be writer. I'm tired of, like, not getting sleep. It's affecting me. Yes, Loki. Loki says it's time to wrap it up. And until next time, be awesome, people.